Thank you. Yes, it's true. I was the graphic designer who did the logo. I don't want to go on about it, but it's pretty impressive. Just before we get, what are you guys doing? I feel like I'm at a court case. Like you guys are squiggling all our faces. Is this going to be? No, seriously, what are you doing? I just got here, so I'm on a tram. Didn't drive. Huh?
We're just capturing the spirit of the conference.
The aura, the vibe.
That's right. You've got to use these sorts of hand signals to explain.
Yeah, you're just centering all of our cheese. That's nice. Oh, cool. I just wanted to know. There was nothing humorous about that. I just wanted to know. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for coming down here. Is this the last seminar for this evening, Dan? Oh, fuck yeah. After this, let's put our car keys on a bowl and see what happens, yeah? Too early for that, right. Mental note. Guys, thank you. I'm not sure if you're a fan, actually, of the EWB conference at this point in time or air conditioning, but either way, you are here. So we do appreciate that. So thank you guys for coming down here. At the moment, you're about to witness one humdinger of a debate. As you can see up here, the PowerPoint presentation doesn't lie. What we're going to debate this afternoon is business is more likely to save the world than non-profit. I suppose ultimately at this point in time I should introduce myself. My name is Dave Thornton. As Dan said, I do a bit of stand-up comedy and things. You may know me because I got a show on Channel 31. Don't want to go on about it. That's cool. You probably don't recognise me without static, which is fine. But ultimately, so I will be your mediator at this point in time for the affirmative and for the negative, which I will introduce in a moment's time. But before I do, I suppose the whole debate at this point in time is that the world needs saving. I suppose you guys are all here to try and make it better. I mean, who's going to save the world at this point in time? You know, you can't depend on superheroes, can you? Fictional characters, Superman, Batman, Peter Garrett. It's not going to happen, is it? So you have to think about all the things that are wrong with this world at this point in time. A couple of things off the cuff that I've written down. Of course, at the moment we're in the midst of a financial crisis, which is nice. It's getting so bad that even ATMs are begging me for change, which is interesting. Excuse me, mate, do you want some money? Well, it's going to cost you about $2 because I can get it for you, but my bank doesn't have much money, so can I like have $2 or something? And it works, doesn't it? Because like with any beggar, when you're half drunk, you're like, yeah, I can take it. Shit. It's fine. And this is interesting. As I said, I took a tram in because I can't afford petrol at this point in time. That is not a joke. That's a reality. The strange thing is, I was reading recently about an engineer who invented a car that runs on water. That sounds good, but the last time I was at a BP service station, a litre of Mount Franklin cost about $4. All of a sudden, $1.50 for premium doesn't seem so bad, does it? Actually, and I don't know if anyone's gone down Punt Road, but there is a massive billboard on there that says now Melbourne is in water restrictions at 3A. Is anyone sure? 3A. It's not 4, not 3, it's 3A. I mean, is water being subdivided? What is going on? Water now has pretty much the same address as a granny flat. It is quite odd. And of course, we all know about the problems of boat people. It's been in the news recently. There's been this massive uproar, people saying they can't just come across in boats, can't come across this country in boats and want to live here. That's how everyone else fucking did it. But Tiger Airways didn't fly in 1788. That's how everyone else got here, for God's sake. I can't say, I have no problem with the people that are coming across from countries. They want to have a better life, want to have a better life for their children, you know. I think it would be good if people went across overseas to see how those people lived. You ever been there? Colombo in Sri Lanka, Kabul, Devonport. It's not great. Children grow up in Tasmania. There's no red rooster, for God's sake. That's no way for children to grow up. And it's not a great environment these days for children to grow up in, is it? I mean, I was reading, they said video games now are making children more violent than they've ever been before. I was unsettled by that. I didn't have a good night's sleep thinking about that. The children now, the next generation are more violent than they've ever been before because of video games. The great thing that made me sleep well at night, though, was realising that the next generation may be more violent because of video games, but it's also because of those video games they'll be too overweight and lazy to do anything about it. The next generation will be in lines at McDonald's going, yeah, just take the gherkin out of the burger, mate. What? You're not going to do it? I will jump the desk and rip your freaking head off. Oh, God, I'm tired. Oh. Do you guys sell McInsulin or something? No. Oh. I cannot see properly. It is not going well. And of course, you know, now we live in the generation of binge drinking, don't we? That's what the new generation has got. All these things are happening and kids can't control it now. We're binge drinking. Go down to King Street and you see all the kids binge drinking. Personally, I like to binge drink. I don't have a problem with it. I don't think I'm trying to preach to the converted to a university, but I feel, I think I walked by, I saw one guy with a goon on a Hills hoist going, wherever it stops, we neck. But I understand that people often wonder why people binge drink. I mean, I suppose I wouldn't classify it as binge drinking. I just like, during the week, I don't drink that much. It's just, I just feel I've racked up sober points. And then when Friday comes, I think, I get fucked. But, and I know, like, you know, people often wonder like that. They go, why do these kids drink to oblivion? Why do they drink so much that they can't think? I'll admit, like, I don't drink to a point where I can't think. I do remember what happens from the night before, but it just seems to come back to me in little morsels throughout the day. The next day, my memory goes, would you like some of this? You know? It'll be like Sunday and I'm reading the newspaper and I think everything's fine, and then oh no. I think it was at that house party and I glad wrapped the house cat last night. And it all comes back to me, and then newspapers say that. They say, why do kids binge drink? Why do we binge drink in this society? And I can tell you, I think I know why kids binge drink. Simply because these days we binge live. There is so much information, so many things are getting thrown at kids these days. You know, a child born this week would get the same information that a child born a century ago. Sorry, a child that was born this week, we're getting in a week. The same information that a child born a century ago would get in a lifetime. All this information is getting thrown at them. I mean, there's broadband everywhere. I don't even have broadband growing up. I had freaking dial-up, for God's sake. You appreciate your information. You had to work for that shit. It took me 3 hours to see Gillian Anderson's nipples. You had to work, you know? And that's the hardest thing, because all the information is getting rocketed at you at just 100 miles an hour, you know? All the information that we get, 60% of it is advertising. Advertising only works if it tells you how bad you are. You're not good looking enough, you need a haircut. You're not cool enough, you need new clothes. You're not successful enough, you need a new car, you need a new house, you need everything to complement you, and it just gets confusing after a while. I don't know if I've got premature balding or premature ejaculation. Either way, I'm screwed. Like, I've been in situations where I've walked into a pharmacy and thought, maybe I do need something for my vaginal thrush. I don't know anymore. You know? And the best inoculation shot that you can take for that is it starts with a line of salt and it finishes with a slice of lemon. You take 3 of those, I'm back in the game. And that's what it's like. We've got all these pressures, all these things that are wrong with this earth. And what are we going to do with it? Who are we going to look forward to? Who's going to help us in this situation? We can't go to TV stars anymore. They're starting to retire. Rove's retired. Oprah mentioned that she's going to retire. Who's going to be next? Please be Koshy. Please be Koshy. Please be Koshy. But who are you going to trust? You know what I mean? You can't even trust politicians these days. Do we all know about the story of South Australian Premier Michael Rann this week? I know most of you may be Victorians, you might know Michael Rann. It all started about a month ago. It seemed Michael Rann, the Premier, was out in a winery and he got attacked. So I know most of you are sitting here thinking, well, how did he get attacked? Was he clubbed? Was he punched? Was he knifed? Well, God forbid, it wasn't a gun, was it? Well, no, he's actually attacked by a man with a rolled-up magazine. Hope those paper cuts cut deep, Michael. That's the spring edition of Marie Claire. There's some weight behind it. I mean what I say. But it'd seem his troubles had come back to roost, because the gentleman who actually attacked him was the husband of a former political waitress. She worked down there at the South Australian government, and he hit him because it seems that Michael Rann was having a sexual affair with this lady. That was his wife, and it came out last weekend. So even politicians are playing up. Australian politicians. This isn't like Bill Clinton, this is Adelaide, for fuck's sake. I'm just surprised someone's having fun there. Like, it's amazing, you know? What was actually quite odd, I don't know if you guys, you can talk to us too, it's totally fine. Did you guys see the, it was on Channel 7 News on Sunday, did you guys see it? Anyone? This is going to go well. And, she came out, and I don't know why she had to come out and actually mention it. She said I'd slept with the Premier, we'd actually had some sexual encounters on a desk and on a golf course. I don't need to know that, you know. And she got paid $200,000 for it. She said it wasn't for the money, it wasn't for the money, I just felt people needed to know. No, you didn't. I just found it quite interesting because about a week beforehand, Tiger Woods won about the same amount of money winning the Australian Masters. That's interesting, isn't it? Tiger Woods plays on a golf course and plays 18 holes and gets about $250,000. She gets on a golf course and plays 1 hole. Anyway, that's really set a wonderful bar, hasn't it? You guys are going to talk about changing the world and you go, well, pure old toilet humour, that'll help. But ladies and gentlemen, obviously, so those people aren't going to help, but hopefully these people can. We've got both the affirmative and the negative, who will be here telling both sides. As a little bit of an introduction, I do have Mia. We've got... For the affirmative, we have Monique Conhead, who will be here at the affirmative. Give a round of applause, guys. So we've got Anton Hermann here as well. We've also got Jan Owen, who will be here for the affirmative. So give them all a round of applause. So, these money-hungry Wall Street Armani-wearing Donald Trumpites will tell you that business may, in fact, save the world. But here we have, of course, for the negative here, the non-profits, I would say. Will that be all right? We also have here, we've got, of course, Anna Rose. Round of applause. We've got Rob Skinner. Round of applause. Oh, right on the end. Sorry. And, of course, Dr. Richard Dennis, of course. So, basically what's going to happen is the affirmative are going to kick this bad boy off. They're going to be giving their point of argument. We'll be going through. The negative will be here for their rebuttal. And then we've got team captains, which I believe is Anton. Is that right? And then Richard. They'll be getting up here and they'll be giving their final argument. And then you guys, it's by your response, are going to see who wins and who doesn't, basically. So it's good for you guys to be vocal, good for you guys to get involved. Now, they've only got about 4 to 5 minutes at this point in time. And I've got me a new iPhone. Yeah, that's right. Hello, 2007. Thornton's here. And so I've got an iPhone, so I'm going to be timing them. They've got about 4 to 5 minutes. I think it's actually going to finish by me playing this, which is nice. The whitest guy in the room is going to be playing some drums, which is nice. Is that good enough? And this is quite interesting, actually. I needed a bit of an alarm, which is, other than the drums, I've actually got another alarm. Watch it. And we're supposed to be, EWB prides itself on knowing that engineering, you've got to use the bare essentials. There's no point in us over-consuming, especially here in the West. I just need a little bell, maybe to indicate that we should finish and move on. And Dan then gave me this. So, talk about over the top. And what the hell? What kind of bike is this? This is awesome. Oh, is this, why is it shaped like this?
It's a folder. Is it
a folder? I thought it was just an engineer with a bad tick or something. Yeah, just put the draft in, that'll fine. So I've got this little bad boy, and I'll be dinging this when it gets to time. So I'm looking forward to this. This will be all right. Oh, all right. And this is the microphone. What happened? It's just wow. It's mutated, but it works, and that's the most important thing. So we'll be passing this bad boy on to all the people, and I will be introducing them with their full CVs as we start. So you guys looking forward to this? Fantastic. So, to kick this bad boy off, first speaker that we have on here, that we're lucky enough to have here tonight, this afternoon I should say, is Monique Conhead, who I introduced earlier. It seems her experience includes time in both the private and public sectors on projects as diverse as renewable energy program for remote Indigenous communities, a regeneration project for an old mining town in the north of England, and a new head office building for Sainsbury's in, now it says Cairo, is that Cairo or Cario? It's Cairo, isn't it? I knew Dan had fucked up. She has got a very star-studded resume, I will admit. There's many, many awards here, and actually it's just been announced just recently, would this be right, the Victorian winner of the Hudson Private and Corporate Sector Award and the Telstra Business Women's Awards. Is that right? Wow, that was awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, please make a welcome Monique Conhead.
Wow, thank you.
It's a monster, isn't it?
By a not-for-profit, maybe? Well, it's great to be here with this double-edged microphone. It's good to be back here talking to some engineers. I did my engineering degree here at Melbourne Uni a bit over 10 years ago, and I'm now a business person. So I'm here to talk in the affirmative that business is more likely to save the planet than not-for-profit. So when it comes to saving the world, good intentions can only take you so far. Ultimately, what matters is the ability to get things done. Now, not-for-profits might have some great ideas, some great intentions and all of that, but to get from good intentions to real outcomes, you need resources. And the resources you need, no coincidence, given we live in a capitalist society, is capital, and business have that. You heard just a moment ago from Evan Thornley, someone who is taking some really great ideas that a not-for-profit could talk about endlessly, like peak oil and what are we going to do about it, we need to reduce our emissions and all of those things that not-for-profits could talk long and hard about and lobby hard about. But it's actually around getting capital and investment into a business that will enable us to actually deliver that outcome. So the example that was just given for you just now. Our best business, you'll hear a lot about how bad business is, I'm sure, from our opposition. But our best businesses are social purpose-driven businesses. We've got some great examples. The Body Shop, started by Anita Ruddick back in the 70s, is a great business that shows how suppliers can be respected, customers can get good products, and shareholders can make money. The Grameen Bank is another excellent example of a for-profit business that's done wonderful stuff in changing the lives of thousands and millions of people in Bangladesh. A for-profit bank was the only way that those people could get access to finance, to get microfinance and rise out of poverty. Locally here, we've got some great examples. I heard Paul Gilding say one time after the work that Easy Being Green did in New South Wales with changing light globes through the emissions trading scheme up there, that he believed he did more in his year and a half or so with Easy Being Green for the outcome of the planet in terms of reducing CO2 than he did for his whole career at being the head of Greenpeace Australia and then internationally. Also, a friend of mine, Nick Francis, who worked for 20 years in the not-for-profit sector, ended up deciding it wasn't the way to go and wrote a book called The End of Charity. Now runs a for-profit business, doing also in the green sector, delivering mass energy efficiency schemes in poor countries. He ended up as the head of the Brotherhood of St Lawrence, and now says that his energy efficiency campaigns that engage market mechanisms in the CDM protocol through Kyoto, delivering energy efficiency in Mexico, does more for anti-poverty than he did at the Brotherhood of St Lawrence. I could be shameless and rave on about my own business, flexicar, and what wonderful things we've done, but one of the great things we've done is employed 10 people in Melbourne. We've engaged 2,500 people in giving up their cars, and we make money out of it. Other businesses may not have a social purpose driving them, but if they make great profits, guess what they can do with it? Great stuff. You only have to look at the Meyer family here in Melbourne, and what they've done through the rag trade has enabled a great number of initiatives in our community. I think the best example of this is Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. It's a foundation that has $30 billion at its disposal. The reason why? Bill Gates made a shitload out of Microsoft. And that $30 billion is doing some of the most wide-reaching poverty alleviation projects that we've seen and that we will see in the future. And even at its minimum, businesses pay tax, which create grants, which not-for-profits can apply for. Businesses employ people, giving them money that they can then, if they choose, donate to a not-for-profit. So we need business at all of the spectrum, all across the spectrum, to create change, because we need just to have a vibrant business community, a vibrant economy, enables us to actually have a not-for-profit sector that is funded through philanthropy, through grants and through personal donations, that can come up with some great ideas that the business can then harness capital behind to deliver the outcomes and save the world.
Monique, thank you so much. That was awesome. I don't run a tight ship in that I didn't even start the stopwatch, nor did I bring that with me. So you had free reign. You could have done 25 minutes. Wouldn't have made a damn difference. But thank you so much. And now, obviously, it's time for the rebuttal. Oh, God, I think I just turned that off. We have for the negative. Here we go. Anna Rose is going to be our first speaker. She's founder and co-director of the Australian Youth Climate Coalition, AYCC. 2009 Ministers Joint Young Environmentalist of the Year. Really? Oh, nice. That's good, isn't it? Yeah. Can you feel the envy throughout the room? Yeah, some of you tried hard, you could have got it. But so we all need a kick in the bum every now and then. All right, guys? She's also an author of the book Future by Us and a regular blogger on Crikey, which is good. It looks like she's travelling. She's been around Montreal, bits and pieces. In December, she will lead a delegation of 20 young Australians to the Copenhagen negotiations. Ladies and gentlemen, please make her very welcome, Anna Rose.
Hi, I actually haven't done a debate since primary school, so I'm hoping that the format is going to work. And the format will be, I have 4 points and rebuttals. And I'm not sure if I'm meant to start with rebuttals or end. Does anyone have debated? First? Okay, all right. Thank you very much. Okay, see, non-profits are participatory. Okay, so I just noted a few points in response to Monique's speech, and I'll just go through them. They're in no particular order. Evan Thornley, better place, fantastic company. The only reason they're making money, and actually the only reason Evan Thornley even has any customers, is because of the work of non-profits in actually putting climate change on the agenda, which is the reason that people want to have more sustainable cars. So he wouldn't have a business if it wasn't for the climate change movement that has been working for the last 20 years. All right, second point, Grameen Bank. Yes, awesome bank. However, it is one tiny exception in the world of banking. Most banks are very evil and destroy many things and build coal mines. They fund basically everything bad in the world is funded by a bank. All right, third point about Easy Being Green and Paul Gilding. Yes, cool business. Unfortunately, it's now kind of on the skids financially, so you could actually argue that Easy Being Green has kind of gone through a period of itself being a non-profit. The point about Melinda and Bill Gates Foundation, yes, they're doing some good work, but actually that's not business, that's their charity. So that's something different to business and kind of falls into the non-profit area of what we're talking about. And lastly, the point about businesses paying tax and therefore contributing to society. I think it's debatable that actually businesses pay that much tax. Most of them employ lawyers at a law firm like the one that I used to work at to get out of paying tax. All right, now for my 4 points. So, everyone close your eyes. Cast your mind back in time. We're going to go on a mental journey through social change movements throughout the world. Imagine yourself in England back a long time ago when women didn't have the right to vote. And imagine, keep your eyes closed, group of women picketing the suffragettes, giving everything they had to give people like me the right to participate in a democracy. You'll notice they were women, not businesses. Let's move on to the civil rights movement in the United States. We had businesses like department stores actually segregating their races, and we had people campaigning who were doing it independently from business. They were a social movement, they were non-profit organisations. Let's look at apartheid in South Africa. We had movements of students all around the world. We had people in South Africa, but also in countries like Australia supporting them. Huge social changes were made. Apartheid campaign, women's rights, Indigenous rights, all of the struggles throughout history, you can open your eyes now, all of the struggles throughout history have been led, great deep social changes have been led by social movements, by people, ordinary people, not businesses. There may be a role for businesses to implement changes, but in terms of actually changing the world, which is what this debate is about, not tinkering around the edges, it comes from non-profits and from social movements. All right, second point, systemic issue. Think about the problems that we've been talking about today, things like climate change and poverty. These aren't technical problems with technical solutions. They're adaptive problems because they require changes and challenges to our values and beliefs. And that means that actually a lot of the reasons that we have these issues that we're facing are systemic issues. So we have an economic system that leads to things like climate change and leads to things like poverty. So if we want to change a system, you can think about nature. Systems in nature, they don't evolve or change on their own. You actually need an input into that system to create change. And that's where non-profits and social movements come in. They're the ones that will create the systemic change because the system that is the problem can't change itself. Third point, the issue of efficiency. We all know we don't have that much time left to solve climate change. Scientists tell us we're reaching dangerous tipping points beyond which it will be too late. So we don't have much time. We have to pick the side that is going to do it the quickest. Now, I have worked in non-profits and volunteered mostly in non-profits since I was 14. I'm now 26, 12 years of experience with a bunch of different social movements in Australia and the US. And I think we all know, anyone here who's spent any time with a non-profit, that we don't have many resources, but we still get a lot done regardless. And one of our AYCC Victoria volunteers came up with the motto, for the unofficial motto for the AYCC, which is, we have a shiny penny and a unicorn. No, we have a shiny penny and a button. We need to clone a unicorn by tomorrow. Who can help? And that's our motto. I used to work at a law firm. The motto there, the unofficial motto, would have been something more like, okay, we've put together a risk assessment and we've assembled a team of summer clerks. We are looking into investigating the possibility of unicorn cloning, but don't do anything until we've checked with our lawyers and with our accountants, and make sure you take a lot of photos for the annual report. So we know that non-profits can get a lot done with a little. A whole history of doing that throughout the history of social movements. Okay, final point. I got an expert opinion on this. I was very lucky to have lunch the other day with the guy who runs the Forum for the Future in the UK. Anyone heard of Forum for the Future? Very cool organisation, you should check it out. They work with businesses, with all kinds of businesses, even ones that I would classify as evil, like mining companies, to help them put sustainability into their operations. And he had worked with non-profits, and now he works with businesses, helping them become more sustainable. And I said, okay, I'm doing this debate, comedy debate, I'm not a comedian, you better help me, what side, would you be on? And he said, without any hesitation, he said non-profits. Every single business I work with, the only reason that they are changing at all is because of the social movements and the non-profits that have put the issues that they're now responding to on the agenda. I think businesses change from three things: their employees, their customers, and public opinion. And all of those factors that would change businesses are coming from our side. Thanks.
Good work, Anna. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. There we go. Well, there we go. It was an interesting argument about non-profit, which is nice, which reminds me, am I getting paid for this, Dan?
In love.
You do not let in love. Not falling for that again, Dan. Yeah, engineers without borders, bosses without boundaries, I should say. Wake up in cold sweats at night. Regardless, we shall move on. Girls, how are the painting going? How's the painting? Yeah?
Tell us.
What's that? I like it. I really do. Yep. I actually studied art and I know nothing about it, so there you go. But ladies and gentlemen, we'll move on. I'll be a little bit more staunch, I think, with the time. I was sitting there, this is quite oh shit, I haven't checked the clock. So for the next guys, there we go. Both of the arguments have been put forward so far, but we'll be a little bit more staunch on time. So the next talker that we've got here, team captain, Anton. Anton Hermann has been National Director, Pro Bono and Community Investment for... Sentence doesn't really make sense. For Minister Ellison Lawyers since 2004. Is that right, Anton? Began his career in law with Minter Ellison in 1990 and subsequently worked in government and the non-for-profit sector. So, ladies and gentlemen, please make him welcome Anton Hermann. Anton.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you for the promotion to Minister. That's very kind of you. You can call me Honourable or whatever it is. Folks, just close your eyes for a minute and let's get that mantra going. All business is bad, evil, shit. All non-profit is altruistic, cool, wonderful, gonna save the world. Okay, now, let's open our eyes again and let's get some reality into this discussion. Okay? Enough of the warm baths. Let's take a cold shower. Wake up and smell the coffee. And understand a few basic facts if we're going to be real about this when it comes to not-for-profits. We've heard about some great works that happen, and that's all well and true. We've even heard about some transitions that have occurred. Folks like Evan who have come across to the dark side of business to create a wonderful new environmental outcome for our entire community. But Evan, for example, could tell you a whole bunch of really bad shit that went down in the 1970s in a not-for-profit movement called the Australian Union of Students. If you think those guys were going to save the world, when the fistfights were happening and people were going off with each other and showing no respect, that all happened in the not-for-profit movement. So let's not be fooled here, folks. I've got another one for you too. Cast your mind back to the 1950s. When the not-for-profit movement was setting the social agenda for Australia, making us a cleaner, better, more pure society. Yes, the stolen generation was yet another great idea that came out of the not-for-profit sector in the guise of the churches. So let's not be fooled here, guys. Not every idea that comes out of these incubators with unicorns and all sorts of other good intentions actually produce good outcomes. We heard about the great outcomes from business, and then we get told by the negative, who got really negative, that all this stuff that happens with banks is evil. Now that's a throwaway line, but let's look reality in the face. Let's talk about Australia today and this awful GFC that Dave's so obsessed with. The GFC has not bitten quite so hard in Australia as it has in other countries. One of the main reasons for that, if we're going to get real, is that the Australian banking industry, of course we all hate them deep down, but if we're going to be honest about it, the health of the Australian banking sector has actually underpinned jobs, prosperity in this country through the down times of the GFC, and thank goodness for that. The other thing that we can really take into account when it comes to the role of business is that as business keeps investing and employing and delivering real outcomes on the ground, we like to think, because we've seen so many more movies, that it's all about putting that money in my little pocket and being driven by greed. But what we're seeing in a place like Melbourne, as business keeps on succeeding, and we see all these wonderful things grow up like the Copeland Theatre, what we actually get out of business ultimately is something called social capital. The not-for-profit sector will tell you it's all about social capital on that side of the equation. But if we open our minds a little and think about where social capital really comes from, it's also driven very much by the business sector. And Anna was spot on. The not-for-profit sector, when it comes to something like Better Place, yes, the not-for-profit sector set the agenda, but who
ultimately turns up to deliver the outcome on the ground. It's the neo-capitalists like Evan Thornton who came out of the Australian Union of Students mindset in the 70s and got real in this century to see such a sensational outcome as Better Place. We hear a lot of stuff about all this evil mining, evil business. We all love to hate McDonald's, but let's get real as well about some of the stuff we love. Dave loves his new iPhone. There's a lot of people who love their Birkenstock sandals. There's people who just can't get by without their nudie fruit juice. They're all coming out of business to satisfy our needs. So let's not be too selective about the businesses that we love to hate. There's plenty that deep down are meeting our daily personal needs. So folks, when it comes to reality as opposed to some of the dreaming that goes on, we know that at the end of the day, if you want to get the job done, you need business to get behind you to make it happen. Sure, the not-for-profit sector can help out along the way by setting the agenda, but when the rubber hits the road, you need business to be there to really make it happen.